Welcome to CoBB, Conversations on the Business of Brands with Sudeep Chawla and Sharavana Raghavan.
So Sharon, we were in the middle of a circus last time around.
Yeah,
N- Not a
we ended in the
literal
middle
one.
only.
We ended in the middle, correct. So, and I think the listeners would have possibly discovered after the last episode why were we calling influencer marketing a circus? What are the key aspects that prompted us to go in that direction, and how what is the core tenet of influencer marketing, Instagram or not? What is it that defines it? How do you differentiate Instagram influencers and celebrities, etc.? Where we left our previous episode was when we wanted to get into more case studies of successful use of influencers, as well as possibly look at the slightly more darker sides of this circus, right? So why don't we directly get into the specifics straight away?
Okay.
Are there any challenger brand case studies that you would want to share with our listeners where they've successfully deployed influencer marketing?
Influencer, see, a lot of brands today are following influencer marketing. Even the major brands are going after it. But I believe the mid teens of 2000 teens, from 13 to 18, 19, was the golden period of influencer marketing for me. Because it was fresh, it was new, and it was, for want of a better word, it was authentic. So there are two brands that come to mind. First one is Dream11.
Mm-hmm.
So this fantasy gaming, real money gaming, however you want to call it, it was it was gamifying the time that people spent watching sport or people spent discussing sport. And they didn't go mainstream. So we know Dream11 from the Indian team sponsorship, and that's when they hit mainstream.
Yeah.
But before that, they started with gaming YouTubers, as in YouTubers who game, right? Using them to talk about Dream11. Talk about fantasy sports, because fantasy sports was new in India.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, back in the 90s, Star Sports had tried something called Super Selector,
Yes.
which didn't really take off. But that's exactly what Dream11 was when they started.
But Super Selector possibly didn't involve any money.
It didn't involve money; it involved only bragging rights.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here also started with bragging rights. Money
Okay.
came in a little later. They spoke about how the education content is going. They set up tutorials on how to form teams, how to play in a community, and creating, say, this fake fan wars between gamers. So they did a lot of this, and they did. So then they slowly upgraded when they started taking shape. They went in. Then they started partnering with co-creators, so that they will work with Dream11 and use Dream11 platform to amplify themselves. And then when they wanted to go mass also, as in broader base, they did not really go complete mainstream. They went regional. So they
Okay.
built education,
Mm-hmm.
and they went after this regional language commentators
Mm.
in cricket,
Mm.
using them to push Dream11's agenda.
Okay.
And that kind of built an organic word of mouth and had a lot of retention. Where even if you are not a regular player of Dream11, we would have downloaded to check out what the app is like.
Mm.
That Dream11 laddering of influencer marketing, starting from very niche, not going too broad, creating the community, creating education, then broadening the community, broadening influencers, creating value for influencers, then going regional with local level commentators, and then amplifying it at a national level. I thought that was beautiful laddering by Dream11 for a
Interesting.
concept which is new to us.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Seems like an interesting case. Yeah.
So the other example I think of is Mamaearth. Mamaearth built. So I wasn't even in India when Mamaearth launched, and I would still hear about Mamaearth.
Mm.
So, and they did no mainstream advertising at that point. So they started with what we spoke earlier, right, in the previous episode about new mothers being a great community.
Mm. Mm.
They leveraged that. They had these mommy bloggers who say, first time motherhood is a great community factor.
Hmm.
I think we discussed the last episode also, because of the vulnerability. You want
Hmm.
to lean on each other, and growing urban lifestyles, they end up being a little alone and what they're going through. So they share a lot of information.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
Mama Earth leveraged these communities in the niches, saying this is what, and the power of the founder's story, saying, I wanted it for my baby, and therefore I understand what you want for your baby, connected. And that is what the mothers carried for them. So once they got the mommy bloggers, they went into multi-tier. They went into YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all across social media.
Hmm.
And with this, they started getting testimonials.
Hmm.
And the
Okay.
testimonials created nano influencers for them.
Hmm.
And the higher thing came in when Shilpa Shetty invested, and she became the face of the brand for some time. I don't think
Hmm.
she is anymore. But it was the impact was so tangible.
Yeah.
For a person who was not connected to the category in any way, I was still aware of the brand. So much so I wanted to find out what the brand is about, because I'm
Hmm.
in the same industry. And it increased awareness. It definitely lowered CAC for them at a time when CAC could be low. And you didn't need as many paid ads then. Influencers were pulling. In fact, I think Mama Earth in FMCG in India is the first brand built by influencers. They did it in such a structured manner that I'm not sure if they'll be able to do it again today. But that is a brilliant example of saying how advocacy from influencers, authentic influencers, built up a brand through education.
Lovely. Now, I think the word that you used in the end, advocacy, I think is what sums up the influencer effect for me,
Hmm,
especially when a brand is small, brand is new, but is chasing a real, problem solver, uh, that interests a community of people, right?
right.
So, how to find the right community of people who feel strongly about the problem that you're solving, that's what influencers possibly help you find in the early stages, help you realize how big it could be, and then give you the possible courage as well as the revenue to go mass.
And that is why the audience also comes to them, right? Because it's
Yeah,
solving the specific issue for them.
yeah, yeah. No, no, excellent. And therefore, a lot of the focus on education to
Yeah,
start with before they went on to do promotion, marketing, etc. Also, because of their educative stance, and solving for real problems, they first built a community around needs and interests of that community, and then went to a wider audience, and therefore they were being discussed by people who were seen as authentic, who were genuinely working around in the same area.
right.
And then once you're doing that, then you get into the right kind of circles. People with vernacular content will work with you, people with local followings will work with you, etc., etc. So all of that comes as a byproduct.
Absolutely.
I think these are very good examples, and in fact, over a period of time, it built such conviction that influencers started launching brands. And there are many of them now. In fact, many international as well as Indian examples where
I think we did an
they have
episode about that, no?
we did and we spoke about whether it's the right thing, wrong thing, etc., etc. But
Right,
all of that stems from the confidence that people have built over influencer marketing
right.
because of some of these fundamentals. Great. Now, so these are the some of the successful things, right? Now,
Yeah,
obviously, like we know, in marketing and in startup world, there is a small percentage that gets highlighted because of the success that they receive.
yes.
But to be honest to our audiences, we must also highlight some of the issues or problems or risks that the brands and startups face once they start indulging in influencer marketing. So could you take us through some of those without really scaring everybody away?
I think this was the dark side of influencer marketing is what we talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
See, when there is money,
Mm-hmm.
there is fraud. And when you see an influencer do really well, to the
Mm.
outside world, it feels like easy money.
Mm.
And you want to follow through and you want to take all the shortcuts. Why
Mm.
influencers? I know celebrities whose agents do use bots to drive up their followership.
Mm.
So recently there was a cricketer who was going through a bit of a PR issue, and his bots were taking care of his followership. And
Mm.
brands were wise enough to spot it and back away from it.
Mm.
So the pitch of the agent was, forget the controversy, look at how much his followership has increased.
Mm.
Brands didn't buy into it. So this fake
Yeah. Okay.
followers, fake engagement, that is the PR managed side of celebrities. Even influencers do it. They do botting of their followers.
Sure.
That is a big issue. The other one, even when you want to do a subscriber coupon code or something, more than half of the money that goes into influencer marketing is not traceable for ROI.
Mm-hmm.
It's not trackable for ROI. And
Mm-hmm.
the whole point of people investing in the digital medium is because it's trackable.
Mm.
Influencer is the least trackable of the digital marketing investments that you will do.
Quick question, Sharon.
Yeah.
Purely from a brand point of view, if when we look at the purchase funnel, so when you speak about retribution, a lot of the conversation around retribution comes towards the bottom of the funnel, right?
Yes.
Now, quick comment from you on when I heard you speak about other brands, Mama Earth and others. It seemed to me that a lot of it was top of the
Top
funnel
of funnel.
influencer work, right?
Yes.
Broadly, your recommendation would be to go more top of the funnel or bottom of the funnel?
It's not either or,
Mm.
but influencers work more at the top of funnel in my experience.
Mm.
So there are different kinds of influencers. There are
Mm.
the ones you talk about when you were at Pidilite,
Mm.
the plumbers, the carpenters. Those influencers come primarily at the bottom of the funnel.
Mm.
The
Mm.
top of funnel taken care of by the media you run.
Mm.
Here for a new brand, we're talking about how emerging brands are using influencers to take on the big guys.
Mm.
In this context, they need to build top of funnel awareness,
Mm.
and influencers build that awareness for them. That's where the
Okay.
advocacy comes in. At the
Okay.
bottom of funnel, they are largely dependent on the price offs and the performance marketing more than they are on the influence.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
It really depends on the life stage of the brand, in my opinion.
Sure. Sure. Now, so sorry, I derailed the dark side. So you were talking about fake engagement and followership
Yeah,
and ROI attribution. Go ahead.
yeah. So ROI attribution is an issue, like you said. That's why the top of funnel, bottom of funnel conversation comes in.
Mm.
And therefore, a lot of brands push influencers to the bottom of the funnel, which is not
Okay.
really the best use of the influencer for that specific brand because
Yeah.
each one's reality is different. Then there is an issue of disclosure and compliance.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Mm-hmm.
see it a lot of finance side, but even otherwise, when you do not know it's an ad, it's a paid collaboration, then the the truth, the authenticity of it varies.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see the same influencer talking great about one makeup brand one week, and talk about a different makeup brand for the same product next week, it kind of erodes authenticity.
Mm.
Why should I listen to you anymore? There is also this reputation issue, right? You saw this Samaya Raina issue where influencers get caught up in PR.
Mm.
And this tends to negatively affect the brands that are sponsoring them sometimes.
Mm.
I don't think the audience is as stupid to believe that what the influencer is doing is because of the brand,
Sure.
but that is a bit of a negative shadow that kind of hits the brand for having sponsored, especially in sensitive categories.
Mm.
And right now, the volatility in reach is oscillating crazily. The kind of reach influencers used to get for the same kind of content today, they're not getting that reach.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And sometimes when they do get the reach, they have no idea why they're getting the reach.
Mm.
So the algorithm changes also kind of impact how an influencer's content performs.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And like we said, people going bottom of funnel and short-term engagements with influencers, there's very little long-term activity happening.
Mm-hmm.
So because of the short term, what happens is you see spikes in
Mm-hmm.
performance. So
Mm-hmm.
short-term spikes which aren't which is only for now, right? And then there's
Mm-hmm.
no long-term effect of it. So you don't see the impact of influencers. So
Mm.
these are really the downsides of influencer, and brands have got to be careful about it.
Understood. And You listed quite a few of them, and in fact, when you were talking about all of this, the image that was playing in my head was of what you mentioned in the last episode, of that live commerce
Yeah,
celebrity in China
yeah,
whose only job is to open boxes, show the product, and then throw it away in
yes.
3 to 5 seconds. And I'm not sure what kind of authenticity or etc. do you receive from it. What you get for sure is a small exposure, and hopefully it's working for commerce, so good for the brand.
I don't know much about it, but this see the people used to say this about Oprah Winfrey's show also, right?
Hmm, hmm,
If your
hmm,
product got featured in the Oprah Winfrey show, then it
hmm,
would sales would go through the roof.
hmm,
So that kind of influencer thing is still there, where it reaches a point where it makes no common sense to be there,
hmm.
but being there gives you some kind of benefit, like a Super Bowl advertising also, right? It's like,
It's like IPL
yeah,
gives you instant scale up in awareness. Now, if you have the relevant product for trial, etc., it might make sense for you
it
to,
might.
if and you want awareness at lightning speed. Yeah, possibly. Okay.
Yeah,
So, in the light of all the risks that you spoke about, if I am a brand manager, I am a brand owner, what is it that I must do to protect myself when I'm engaging into influencer marketing?
good. Like I said, some brands walked away from the cricketer who was
Mm,
artificially inflating his followership. Brands need to vet audience
mm,
authenticity. Agencies can do this for you because
mm,
they see the trend of how fast the audience went up, when the
mm,
audience spike happened. They have these trackers and
mm,
what the past performance patterns have been like. So check for authenticity of followers.
mm,
Have very, very clear contracts and disclosures saying
mm,
if you get caught in something like this, we're pulling it off. This is what we can. Now, influencers charge to endorse your brand once.
mm,
They charge for you to use the video on your handle for a
mm.
certain period of time.
Yeah.
Now, this is not disclosed upfront with a lot of new brands.
Mm,
Get clear
mm,
about the nitty gritties of what you're engaging with and get the right approvals in place.
mm,
The other one is diversify. Don't tie yourself to one or two influencers. I don't mean go thin, but have a set of influencers so
mm.
that you are not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Okay.
And try and measure as much as possible. Not all of it is measurable, but try and
Mm,
measure because some influencers might be high on CAC, but greater on LTV for you.
mm,
So try and track as much as possible and invest in repeatable engagement with influencers instead of short-term engagements. Treat them more as brand ambassadors than merely influencers, and that is when it's mutually beneficial to both. That's I know it sounds like advice, but this is the only way to get around the dark side.
Now, this is an interesting one. I don't know the success of it, but and we spoke about this earlier, I think, in the influencer marketing episode earlier, where I discovered this program by The Whole Truth,
Hmm.
where they were not paying, but they were recruiting influencers,
Right.
right? They were shortlisting influencers. By giving out an application form, people had to fill it to proclaim their commitment towards healthy lifestyle, etc. And then the brand would interview and shortlist, right, rather than the other way around. Now, the mechanics aside, the intent possibly was to get ambassadors, like you just said,
Yeah.
people who genuinely believed, and even if you were not paying them, they would talk about similar content. They might not name your brand,
Right.
but they would be in the same zone.
Right.
Okay, good. Now, quick question.
Hmm.
When do you think a brand should stop relying on influencers? Is there a stage where brand should say, okay, I'm off?
I think that's a valid question, but the answer is pretty simple. When you
Hmm.
see diminishing returns, you go away. As in, you look at reprioritizing your funds because every marketing investment has a point of diminishing returns. When it
Hmm.
starts diminishing,
Hmm.
think of reallocating your money.
Hmm. Hmm. So reallocation to other uh, influencers media is the answer.
Yeah. So if you're over indexed on micro, nano, maybe upgrade, or if you're over indexed on your macro, maybe try nano. Rebalance your advocacy. And also, by the time you're hitting diminishing returns on influencers, usually you have grown big enough to go mainstream. So
Okay.
explore that to build your funnel as well. And it's about having this hybrid, right? So
Mm.
once you see diminishing returns on doing only influencer, then you start parallel media across platforms. You start diversifying.
Okay. And Sharon, for people who are early in their journey, any brands that
Hmm.
have, now working with influencers, etc., are there any numbers for this?
Hmm.
So, for example, when you're saying diminishing returns,
Hmm.
what does diminishing mean? A diminishing for Mamaearth would be very different from diminishing for another brand. Any number that you can quote?
See, diminishing is from what you've had so far. But
Mm.
the sense, if you want a thumb rule for it, then I'd say
Mm.
anything less than, if the influencer CAC is 30% higher than your next best channel of acquisition,
Mm.
then that is a flag. Then check for it. If it continues, if you see a pattern, move. Or if
Mm.
you see there is ROAS is
Mm.
less than 3:1, you're not getting 3 times more returns than you're putting into influencer consistently, then it's time to reallocate your money.
Mm.
That's
Mm.
the thumb rule I'd give. It's not universally applicable, but it's a base number for you to go with.
Okay, good, fair. I think that's a good indicator for people. Uh, Earlier, you spoke about the compliance side of it. Now, I remember there was this compliance which said that if you have a paid partnership or you're engaging in any kind of that association, it has to be declared upfront on
Right.
Instagram and other places, right? So, do you think when it is declared, does it destroy credibility of the brand, of the influencer, or it works?
I think that's a fantastic question because I've asked myself this question. Like,
Hmm.
because just because that person is paid, does it take away from the authenticity?
Hmm.
It doesn't, is the conclusion I've come to. But
Hmm.
it doesn't so long as the influencer has already built a sense of authentic followers.
Hmm.
People know what they stand for. And people are cognizant of the fact that the creators need to make money. So they will be backed by certain brands.
Hmm.
And if I think it gave the example of how podcasters kind of built a few brands by talking how they use it in their life.
Hmm.
And if they're not very up and down, saying, like I said, doing one brand this week and changing another brand in the same category next week, if they're not that, what do you say, frivolous, then
Hmm.
it's not a problem at all.
Okay.
And if the creator and product fit, like you said, whole truth is going after influencers, is recruiting influencers who go on with the brand value, then it makes sense. And if you are educating, you are in that domain of the value system, then it's perfectly fine. Audience don't really have a problem with you making money as an influencer.
Hmm. Hmm.
They just
Hmm.
have a problem being lied to. And if you're
Hmm.
not disclosing your paid collaborations, if you're being inconsistent, that is when the misalignment begins.
Interesting. I'm actually reminded of this example from my previous stint.
Hmm.
I was working in this boring category, seemingly boring category, waterproofing, and we were trying to see if we could leverage some influencers, people
Hmm.
who talk about construction related content. One of the highest performing videos for us was by a particular gentleman in Kerala who would make very interesting videos for his content. Okay. He would do some outlandish experiments, and I think, and that's what I would like to believe, I don't know, that his audience would like it because he would do it genuinely his way. So they knew that this is not something that anybody is scripting for him.
Right.
And thankfully we decided to follow the same rule, and we told him this is the product, this is what it does. We had a waterproofing product. It is ideally supposed to be used not for water but for dampness, etc., etc. We
Huh.
briefed him about that, but we gave him sufficient liberty that you decide what you want to do with it. Okay,
Got it.
we are
Okay.
not going to vet your script and tell
Oh,
you how
not
to
even
go about
vetted.
it.
Okay.
No, this is the rules, etc., etc. So apart from whatever he said, and I'm assuming he would have said the right thing because I don't know Malayalam, so my team would have checked it. But there's an interesting experiment he did with it, and I don't think it can be repeated. But whatever, he wanted to do it this way. So he created this from basket material. He created a boat,
Okay.
right, as a round boat, large basket of sorts,
Oh,
and then he coated it with our material.
wow.
Okay, then he let it dry, and this gentleman sits into the boat and puts it into the lake, into
With him in it.
backwaters, with him in it, right?
Wow.
and he rose for some distance. Now, technically, no damp proofing brand would ask him to do it. Your
Right.
bloody active water, your product is not supposed to work in it. But you know, these kind of outlandish things that a brand would never think of, you would always be technically right and all of that.
Yeah.
But I real and the reel did very well. The content did very well.
Uh-huh.
So the
Of course.
my abstraction out of that was that if you're not trying to, if you're a brand and don't try to control the narrative of the creator, the creative has built their credibility based on what they do, how they do it. If you are really just convincing them about the goodness of your product and letting them do their thing with it, then even if it is a paid partnership, it will work for you.
Absolutely.
If you're getting that guy to parrot out what you wanted to say, then same
Doesn't
creator,
work.
same brand doesn't work.
And what it also does is it damages the authenticity of the influencer.
Correct. Correct.
It does
Even the
damage on both
influencers are
sides.
careful. Yeah. Yeah.
True.
Good. Good. So I think, yeah. So therefore, authenticity possibly is the key. As long
True.
as it is authentic, it works for you. Now, you know, towards the end of the episode, let me also bring you to this big daddy of FMCG, the sort of brands that we never associate influencer marketing with
Right.
is Unilever, right? With the new CEO, etc. So a lot of talk around trying new ways of marketing, scaling up influencer marketing massively. There was this chat about one influencer for every pin code in
Yeah.
India, Brazil, etc. Right? So all noble intent, no problem. It's just that when you put it out in this manner, it almost seems like you are sort of outsourcing the job of building credibility for your brands.
Exactly the problem.
Yeah. So, but I don't know whether this is the right articulation or not. They have credible brands, right? So I don't know.
Okay.
What's your take on it?
So this is Unilever has been my itch for a few years now. As far as India is concerned, they are the flag bearers of sales and marketing. No question about it.
Mm,
But in the last few years, they've gone overboard on the purpose thing, which they now backtracked, which we've spoken of, saying how stupid it is to do purpose finding for brands.
mm,
But this influencer there's a backstory to it. I'll start at the whole story to say
mm.
Unilever has forever made lower quality products and managed to get by with superior marketing and sales.
Okay.
Because if you read, even see, this is well known, right? Ice cream without milk. You have your soaps which have high pH. There are different qualities, and
No,
they're
I think
very
on that specific point, I think the reason they are able to crack rural consumers very well is because you create MVPs, minimal viable
viable
product.
product.
Product that does what the consumer needs. It might not be the best possible product that they can sell there.
Consumer wants.
I'll not, sorry, consumer wants, right? So therefore, I'll not, put them at fault here.
No, that's been the philosophy. The
Yeah.
problem is not the
Okay.
operation. The
Yeah.
philosophy of that's how they've seen success.
Yeah.
The fact that so many brands and how big Unilever is in India is because of how well they were able to market.
Mm.
But as a peril of a listed company, they've eroded quality over time
Mm-hmm.
for want of margins. Now, why do the
Mm-hmm.
influencers, the new brands, give them a run for their money? Because they're able to talk directly to consumers and say how their product is better than Unilever.
Mm.
Now, logically, what would you want Unilever to do? Up their quality. But upping the quality means either creating new brands
Mm.
or going at a higher price or depleting existing margins to deliver greater quality, neither of
Mm.
which a listed conglomerate can afford to do because your share prices will drop.
Mm.
So the CFO, who's now the CEO, is going after the most obvious option for him, saying, the new guys are doing it with influencers. I'm going to do it with influencers. That goes back to the point you were making, saying they're outsourcing credibility instead of
Mm.
fixing quality,
Mm.
which is, they're not going to win that way. The
Mm.
moment they go, exactly what he said, the authenticity of influencer marketing is at risk because of what Unilever was trying to do. People will go there because they're paying them good money. But the whole influencer ecosystem is at risk because of them trying to create a circus out of influencers.
I'll possibly, I might not completely agree with your stance on this. This is how I see it. Okay. I don't know what are they going to get influencers to say, but as long as the influencers are not lying, right? Okay. Now Unilever wins because their MVP attracts lot more customers. Startups have come away and they have identified smaller micro clusters of consumers who are ready to pay for the value that they are offering. However, consumers at large, and India has a very large bottom of the pyramid, still wants and needs Unilever's products, right? That offer value for money. One of the ways of thinking about all of this, Sharon, could also be that because of increasing prevalence of influencer marketing, a lot of the people now get to hear what even the small brands have to say versus Unilever having disproportionate SOV, share of voice, in this category.
Correct.
Now this is their way of saying that if smaller brands attracting smaller sections of consumers are able to make their message reach, at least what our brands deserve is that we make our message reach many more people much more frequently, right, without lying, so that we get what we deserve. In parallel, I also see them buying out brands,
Yeah.
right, so that they could appeal to those sections of consumers which some of these smaller brands have carved out, right? So therefore, I see them obviously flailing and trying to find variety of ways, but there could be a genuine method to this madness as well.
Could be. I'm not denying the fact at all. Just
Mm.
that they are now on a far more even playing field with the new guys.
That is true.
And because of that, the new guys are able to talk about the quality being inferior. There is no way around that for Unilever.
That I agree with. So when the quality was at par, the emotion took over.
Exactly.
That's where Unilever was able to score over others, ability to connect with human emotions. Now the quality is back in focus. So
Yeah.
at least in certain sections of consumers, that is true.
And that is how they struggled against Nirma also, no? Remember?
Correct.
I think we should do a full episode on Surf versus Nirma, the birth of
Correct.
Wheel.
No, fair. We must. Great. I think this is great, Sharon. In this episode, also we have managed to not make it so dark. After all, while we started from the dark side,
But still a circus.
still a circus. I think what I'm gathering after the previous episode and this one is that it is a circus because of the things that you mentioned, but it's a good circus if you are the one curating it, right?
Right, exactly.
So that's the cue for the brands to be in control, and some of the metrics that you spoke about, that look at of different channels and see how they stack up, whether you're getting diminishing returns, etc. So those are all ways of taking control of the circus, right? We spoke about the fact that education and building authentic communities is very critical, and then obviously you try and measure so that you are able to stack up channels and look at what it is doing for your brand. We spoke about authenticity and building and ensuring that communities, that audiences trust what is being said about your brand and how it is being said about your brand, right? And I like how we are ending the episode with example of Unilever, where we are saying it is almost like you're outsourcing credibility of your brand. So it's like your baby that you're handing over to people. You better be careful about it, and you better be truthful about it. As long as the brands follow all these tenets, we think that influencer marketing can still work for you. It might not give you as astronomical returns as it paid to some of the brands in the recent past
Right.
because of the fact that it was the shiny new thing there, but it is still valuable. It'll still work if you're able to get your tenets right.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Lovely summary.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to CoBB, Conversations on the Business of Brands with Sudeep Chawla and Sharavana Raghavan. Subscribe and learn more at cobcast.net.